Right, so this is Ketchum versus Westbridge Belgrave league match. The context of the game is both kind of mid-table teams kind of fighting for extra points to work their way up into hopefully top three, because there's a new promotion system coming in, so quite a crucial game. And the reason I picked this game was because of I believe that this is one of the best referee performances that I've seen within the league, and he seemed to be of a higher standard than what consistently we've been expecting from other refs. So the first law that we brought in that I can see here was the law 14.7. So as you can see here, if I let it play, we have the penalty for a turnover here. The tackler comes in, the second man releases, there's a clear win back, and then the player has then replayed it on the floor. And the law states that tacklers must make the ball available so that the player can continue by releasing, passing or pushing the ball in any direction except forward. They may place the ball in any direction. So as you can see here, the player's been tackled, he's then released, the second defender is coming over the ball, he's got clean grasp on it, and the player is not released off the floor, which obviously results in penalisation. The next one we'll see here is just a scrum reset, which is law 19.34. When there is no infringement, the referee will stop play and reset the scrum if the scrum collapses or breaks up before it is otherwise ended. So as we can see here, that our front row has come down, the referees reset the play and then allowed it, because they've obviously felt that they're not structured enough. The hooker's popped his head up, felt that he wasn't going to be able to complete the scrum effectively or safely, and then the refs allowed just a re-stopping play, retake, then reset, scrum goes ahead, no infringements or any safety issues. So then we'll go to 540 here. We can see that the try awarded was after this maul drive. Law 8.2, a try scored when an attacking player is first to the ground, the ball when a scrum, rock or maul reaches the goal line. So as you can see here, they've taken it off the top of the line out, they're getting a maul drive going, the ball's worked its way back to the end lad, and then they drive over the ball, over to the line, and then the ref sees a clear grounding within the goal area and awards the try. We can see here that there is a knock-on advantage given, which is law 7. If a team gains an advantage following an infringement by their opponents, the referee may allow play to continue in an effort to keep the game flowing. So you can see here that it's come off of catcher and line-up. The 10's attempted to play the forward going at the line. He's knocked it forward. The Belgrave player has picked it up in the backfield. He's then able to make a significant amount of meters, therefore gaining an advantage. And then the referee has then called it over. And then my final law was, you can see here that it goes to one more phase. They've been going side to side, so the 10 has decided to play for territory, but his kick here, you can see, lands out of the play. So the law is 18E. So the ball is kicked directly into touch from outside the 22, where the ball reaches the touchline or on the touchline, in line with where the ball was kicked, whichever is nearer to the player's goal line. No gaining ground. The opposition of the kicker then takes the line out and throws a mark. So as you can see here, that the referee's clearly seen that it's landed out of play. Where the kick took place is further back than where the kick lands. So play then resets with a line out to Kettering, in the position in which the kicker has played the ball. So overall, I believe that the referee's performance was high level within this little section of clips. I believe this because of the strengths of the referee's performance outweighs the weaknesses. For example, one strength of the referee's positioning and was his proximity and positioning to play. In almost all incidents, he located himself appropriately, allowing clear view of play, which means he's able to make clear and rational decisions. And having seen what he's gathered and then making a rational decision. So we can see kind of from 3 minutes 35 onwards, this is a phase in play where they are counter-attacking. There becomes a little bit more structure to the game. And you can see through just this first 20 seconds, all his positioning is first watching the defences where they are, if they're onside, and then he's watching what goes on in the ruck. And all of these rucks, his positioning is pretty much perfect to first watching that there's clean ball in the ruck, there's no infringements, and then watching the defensive line. And then the next advantage was his a strength of it, and his next strength was that his communication skills, such as his tone and volume of interactions, accompanied by the detail of his explanations, allowed for an effective delivery of a course of action. You can see by a later clip that kind of relates to one of the more critical incidents, but you can see in his tone and the way that he's holding himself that he doesn't never lose control of the game. He's always kind of keep the play in control. However, one of the disadvantages of his performance was that he had no prior knowledge of performers. This is because Belgrave are notorious for going off their feet to protect their own ball in rucks, and this was because evident that he's not previously refed or done his research by watching footage of the team, as he was less vigilant to these incidents. A further weakness of this ref was sometimes that he compromised and chose not to make a decision on an occasion that affected a play given one team, and then even with his weaknesses. No, hang on. I'll show evidence of kind of where he showed more lenience that's affected the way that the game is played. So you can see off of this kick to the corner that he's then let play continue, gone to the line out, correct decisions here. I'd say that is not a straight line out. They've gone up to compete and the ball is a good metre away. You can see by his body language that I think he's gone to potentially make a decision, but believes it hasn't necessarily affected play, so has let it play on and also taken into account the wind conditions. However, then they infringe with a high tackle here, but if the line out had been given, Belgrave would have had their advantage given to them with the correct decision being a non-straight line out. However, he's let this go and then plays continued and there's been a higher tackle, which has obviously completely switched the momentum of the game. So the first critical incident was at 1:20. Where a Ketchum player is picked and gone from the ruck during this tackle. They've knocked it on. So I'll let this play now. So you can see here, he's picked and gone here. He's knocked it on the floor, spilt it. They fumbled it a little bit, trying to regather. They played one phase. We were in a clear turnover. The players then played it from an offside position during the ruck. You can see that, in my opinion, he hasn't allowed the advantage to continue long enough. With only one phase and they've not really made significant meters. The Ketchum turned the ball over in the breakdown. So then the effect on the game is that Ketchum then choose to select a shot at goal, taking 3 points, which was the first point scored of this game, which is evidently quite a crucial decision that he's made from a knock-on advantage that he's then cut really quite short, leading to Ketchum to then making points. The next critical incident was at 5 minutes. So we have a line out here where Ketchum are kind of fumbling it in their area, looking to clear their lines. The 9 is looking to box exit, puts quite a lot of height on the ball, and the player there is blatantly taking the man in the air. So you can see here that as Belgrave player jumps to regather, whilst in the air, a catcher and flanker rushes up and tackles the catcher, legs out, and is a dangerous tackle in the air. The catcher lands on the tackler, which means that it's not a red card incident. The referee immediately blows his whistle. He then continues through. You can't see it here because it's cut, but the way he holds his body language with the continuing of the first card, his hand up, he's had a clear view of the play, as you can see by his positioning here. He couldn't have a clearer view of that. Immediately his body language suggests that he is going to deal with the incident. He lets it fizzle out a little bit, lets the Belgrave players lose their head, find their head again. He's then had a talking to with the captain and the player that's caused the infringement, and then decided upon a yellow card, which I believe was the correct decision, because although the tackle was in the air and was dangerous, because the player has not landed on his neck or back, it can't be issued as a red card. And the last critical incident was at 39 minutes. You can see that Belgrave are defending Ketchum's ball. They've attempted a strip here, but the player has played the ball, and with the tackler not being allowed to release, you can see here that the number 12 brings him down. His knees are on the floor, and then the 10 has then played the ball, which is illegal. He's seen that he's then been stripped off the floor. Belgrave regather, but because of the infringement made, he's called a penalty. With his positioning again pretty perfect, you can see the clear incident here and awards a penalty, which is pretty crucial at this point in the game. This is the dying minutes of the game. We are down on points, and then Ketchum can select to the corner. They kick it to the sideline and have a pretty decent platform to attack, which would have gave them the potential win, which is obviously a pretty crucial moment in the game. But then overall the ref was more consistently correct, as evidenced by the second two critical incidents, which he made the right decisions in both. The player landed safely and therefore mitigating it down from a red card. If the catcher had landed on the head or neck area, then the red card should have been issued. The referee is within good proximity of the incident and is unobscured view due to the placement. His blowing of the whistle and hand signalling is immediate, which keeps control of the match. He intelligently lets the game settle and watches for any reactions and the challenge before calling over the captain and player who committed the tackle. The explanation was given clear and detailed, explaining the incident, and the sanction will be. His non-verbal communication throughout is effective and consistent, such as body language and hand signals. And an incident occurred in a pro game where the Stormers have placed the kick high to compete in a Western Force player has jumped to catch, and the Stormers player has accidentally taken him out in the air. Based on how the player landed, the tackler was issued with a yellow card, similar to what we've seen here. Obviously, this was not an attempt to catch, but a tackle. But you can see here that with the first critical, that he accidentally taken him out in the air, but based on how the player has landed, that he hasn't issued him with a red card. But however, with the first critical incident, I believe the ref didn't give Belgrave long enough of an advantage to relieve pressure after the catching knock on, because they'd only gone one phase and kind of played on. You can see here where in a professional game, England versus New Zealand, Johnny May's made a break. He's come inside, tried to offload. Owen Farrell has knocked it on. New Zealand are still very under pressure as this is occurring in their 22 and just outside. They've gone one phase, they've gone a second phase. Still significantly under pressure in the red area. There's a legal turnover occurred, an illegal turnover. So then Nigel Owens has switched to the advantage over. But as you can see here, that Nigel Owens has given them significantly more time under pressure, which is a very similar incident to what occurred in the Kettering game. He's getting much more time on the ball. It's just unfortunate that England have committed an infringement, so he then switches his advantage into a penalty advantage. But his communication throughout was very clear. You can see him here calling knock-on advantage. Hand signals go down. Everyone knows that the play is continuing. Lets it play through, and then that's about it.
Okay, so a quick question